Welcome to the Bear Talk, your go-to Chicago Bears podcast, where a father and son break down all things Bears, from Soldier Field to Sunday showdowns. I'm your host here, Dylan Weaver, and as always, joined here with my dad. How you doing, Dad?
Doing great, son. How you doing this week? We got week 2 in the books, and I was reached my pocket. I had a grocery list. I was about to go to the grocery store. Then I realized it was the injury list out of week 2. The pads got on, the hitting got hitting, and then the injuries started to mount up. Some good, not some bad. Some we just don't know, but nonetheless, still concerned. Another season of Chicago Bears training camp, and we got people that are limping off the field, which isn't good for the predictions I have for the Chicago Bears this year.
Yeah, I mean, this show could definitely be called the Chicago Bears injury list because, like you said, it was a lot of injuries this week. And honestly, we dealt with this during the season last year. You always joked about that same joke you joked about at the top of the show of laundry list, grocery list, whatever it may be, because that's how it looked week to week in season. We always had about 10 to 12 people on that injury list, and it wasn't just 10 to 12 random people, it was like 10 to 12 starters. Um, However, last training camp, it was very physical as well. We avoided a lot of injuries. It was not until the season when they started happening. So hopefully, maybe we're just getting the injuries out of the way before the season starts. But honestly, it sucks to hear it, especially when you hear some star players go down. And we can start it off right at the top of the show because I don't think this happened after our show from last week, but the biggest one, Coby Bryant went down. Um, he was in a one-on. They were doing one-on-one drills, and Cole Kmet went up for a ball, and Coby Bryant went up to contest the catch and ended up landing weird. Turns out he honestly, it was a lot better than what it sounded like initially. He just hyperextended his knee and with a slight fracture. Expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks, or 8 to 10 weeks. At worst case scenario, he'll be back around week 3, week 4. But when you heard the report come out of training camp, it was the cart came out immediately. He couldn't put any pressure on his leg, holding his knee. Usually, when that happens in the NFL, that's a torn ACL. These players know. Even Coby Bryant himself, from the people that were at the practice, said, his head was in his jersey, covering his face. He was emotional. Just kind of sucks to lose someone like this because this was definitely our hot premium signing in the offseason. And to see him go down early, it kind of sucks. And more importantly, too, it kind of sucks for Dylan Thieneman, our first round pick rookie. Now he's kind of going to be the voice of reason back there until he comes back. And, he's a rookie. He's a great player, but at the same time, he has a lot to absorb and learn. And that's what Coby Bryant was there for. Now it's like all of a sudden, here you are. You're out there. You got to lead the charge. So that's really that one. It really sucks. But like I said, I think we dodged a bullet because it could have been season ending just as easily. If he's going to miss the first 3 to 4 games, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I got two takes on that. I don't know if you saw it. Ben Johnson was I've obviously asked about it, I believe, yesterday in the press conference after practice, and he kind of made the statement like, "Where did you hear that?" when he was asked about the 8 to 10 weeks. So either it's longer than 8 to 10 weeks, or they're going to rest him. He's going to be good for the game opener. My second take on it is though, we did have the most turnovers in the league, if I'm not mistaken, last year when it came from our DVs and our quarterbacks. Um, how much would it have cost just to keep those players that we let leave, right? Brisker, Nashon. I mean, we let them all go and signed Bryant, and now we have nobody. I mean, we're literally in the pantry piecing together some different ingredients to try to make a meal, and not looking real good before the season starts. With week 1 right around the corner, especially the Hall of Fame game was on Thursday, and I know this is the Bear Talk show, but I got to talk about my man Carson Beck. 188 yards, look good, touchdown through the air. he looked pretty good. I was pretty excited about him.
Yeah, he did look good. But kind of back to your point about signing, bringing back some of the Bears we traded away. It's a little bit. I see your point, but at the same time, outside of turnovers last year, our defense was abysmal, and you don't want to just sign yourself back up. One, replicating the amount of turnovers and leading the league in turnovers isn't that sustainable for one.
Yep.
And like I said, outside of that, they were abysmal on defense. So the Bears
Especially on
needed
the slant. They could not defend the slant.
Yeah.
We saw what the Packers did to us on that slant route. So I get it, but man, we don't have a defensive end. We don't really have a linebacker. And now
we got plenty of linebackers.
Come on. I know Devin Bush is getting some props in training camp right
TJ
now.
Edwards is back.
Like I said, we're getting some there, but now we don't even have the secondary, and that was the whole point in the offseason. Since we didn't do a defensive end signing, they got a lot of faith in Austin Booker that we were gonna, shore up that defensive back, bench a little bit more in the roster, and it's out on carts. Tyreek Stevenson, I know we're going to talk about this one too, but even Tyreek went down with his collision with Luther Burden. And
Yeah,
speaking of a guy,
he was able to finish practice. He'll be all right.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're Mr. Positive.
I am Mr. Positive. I mean, yeah, it sucks people are going down, but at the same time, it's football. It's any sport. You're going to get hurt. And there's a lot of people out there that are, don't like how physical Ben Johnson is with these practices. But at the same time, he probably has a reason behind it. Hence, last year, the Bears had their first positive record since 2018 and won their first playoff game. There's all reason to that. He could have been soft a couple of those games early on last year. We probably would have started 0-4 instead of 0-2 if we didn't hit as hard as he did and really get that game-like experience before you get out on that field. And it's part of any sport you play. Injuries are going to happen. I always hated, being a former college athlete, I always hated, people, we got to be nice and easy in practice. Don't try to kill anybody. Like it's practice. You're going to get hurt no matter what. That's going to happen. Like stuff happens. It's out of your control. And it sucks, but at the same time, it's going to happen. We can jump on over. You just were kind of talking a little bit about the Tyreek Stevenson one. We can talk. Obviously, like I said, he was huddled up, was able to actually end up finishing practice. The other scary one was Luther Burden, who went down, was able to walk off in his own power, but ultimately never returned to practice. Same thing like the Cole Komet Coby Bryant one. Same thing, one-on-one drills once again. So maybe we stop these one-on-one drills. I don't know, but they both go up to make a play on the ball, and it looks like Tyreek landed on Luther's leg, one of his legs. I forget which one it is, and kind of trapped it underneath there. But looks like it's just a groin injury, but he is expected. This one honestly concerns me a little bit more because we haven't have a timeline yet, for one, and for two, and Schefter and Ian Rappaport's articles, I read them pretty in depth, and both of them are just like he's due to miss some time, which it's not like, oh, this is a day-to-day thing. It sounds like it could be a week, 2 weeks, who knows how long it goes. This did happen literally yesterday, so we don't really know the exact details of it yet. I'm sure tomorrow when the Bears are back, Ben Johnson always speaks before every practice. I'm sure we'll get some clarity on that from Ben Johnson. But even with Ben Johnson, I don't know how much clarity we're going to get, because if you listen to his press conferences, whenever people ask about injuries, he kind of just said, yep, we're just taking it day by day. He kind of brushes it off, and he just is, ready to get to the practice. So we don't really get too much details from him, but hopefully we can get a nice little update about Luther, because, he's one of these star players that we both are thinking is going to have another breakout season into his second year. So
that was the little bit of nugget I read when I was reading some articles this morning, that they might have put a pause on his breakout year 2 based on this injury. So I don't know what that means. I'm just saying what I read. Who knows if it's legit, but it is a groin injury, and I do recall a one Jalen Johnson last year with a groin injury and how that worked out for us.
Yeah, but Jalen's was a lot different. He actually physically needed surgery. Like it's,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. You
Yep.
always like to be on the negative side, but I think
Oil
Luther's
and
going to
vinegar
be.
we are.
Think Luther's going to be all right. If you remember last year against the 49ers at the end of the game, it looks like Luther blew out his knee. We're all freaking out because the playoffs are about to start. And what happens? Luther's playing the next week in the following game and looks just like himself. Luther's a tough guy. He's putting a lot of work in the offseason. Just as much as the hard work he puts on the field, I'm sure he does the same thing off the field to take care of his body. Probably won't see him this week, I don't think. He'll probably take some time to rest, maybe even another week, but I think he'll still be ready to go week one. As long as he's taking care of his body, doing the right things, I think he's going to be all right. Obviously, you talked about it a little bit too. Both Braxton Jones and Montez Sweat with injuries as well. Those seem to be pretty minor. Even Ben Johnson, because those happened earlier in the week. I think it was Thursday, and Ben Johnson already spoke on it. Their injuries are day to day, nothing too crazy. So that's good. And it sounds like Braxton Jones avoided a big injury because a lot of people thought his could have been season ending as well, like Coby Bryant, but it turns out it's just going to be a day to day thing. But honestly, when it comes to Braxton Jones, I think his injury, like when it comes to personal, I think his is the worst case scenario because he's in a battle for a left tackle competition right now. And you don't have days to miss reps and not be at practice when you're trying to win over a spot. And it seems like think Jedrick Wills is taking pretty good chance of this opportunity. They've already been splitting some reps, but now he's getting the majority of first team reps. And it seems like he's handling his own out there. You got to remember he's a former first round pick. So the biggest question with Wills was could he stay healthy? He's had a lot of injury trouble early on in his NFL career, but when he's healthy, he's a really good player. So Braxton Jones, I'm sure, is eager to get back out there, but I think more importantly, you got to, just like with Luther, you got to take this seriously, get your body right. The season starts in a month from literally earlier this week. We're a month out, so you got time to rest up. The Luther one, like I said, he knows the playbook now. He's in his second year. Braxton Jones is a little bit. He didn't play. He played a little bit last year, but then ultimately got benched after week 4 when we went on our bye week. So I don't know. It's scary for Braxton Jones. He's on a contract here too. So we'll see what happens with that. But he went down, and then Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat one, I think he should be back pretty fine because all the beat reporters did say with Montez too, like no one really saw him actually get hurt. He kind of just left practice with one of the trainers and never came back. But it wasn't like in the middle of a play you saw him go down and it looked like maybe something happened that wasn't as severe and he just took himself out. So we'll see what happens. Montez Sweat's a veteran, but it does suck. I mean, all these injuries, they're not fun, especially in training camp. I'd rather a player get hurt in a game when it means something. So it sucks to see all these injuries pile up so early on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not funny, but it's a little funny. Maybe Rome was getting a little upset of hearing who the wide receiver one was going to be, and his dad. We know the Twitterverse with his dad. He pulled a little Tanya Harding and said, "Hey, Tyree, sweep the leg." I'm just saying. I mean, it could be. I don't know, but maybe Rome's like, now I'm back to wide receiver one. Everything's okay. We'll see. And two, I get the practice talk like you talk about Ben Johnson, and clearly I'm not an athlete. I'm too old to be an athlete, and at my age, you don't do a lot of swinging or practicing of anything. You kind of save the best one for when you're actually going to do it. So maybe they just chill out a little bit and don't injure everyone before the real test comes with the season.
Yeah,
But that's just my take.
I just hope most of them are good to go when we're there in about 2.5 weeks at that Titans joint practice. It'd be really cool to see, especially Luther Burden. It'll be kind of a bummer if he's not out there. But on the positive side, you were just talking about Rome, but Roman Colston this week dialing it up again, just making plays. It comes down to Colston level, and you just hear every update. It's Colston level and this, Colston level and that. Just mismatch heaven out there. We talked about it a lot on our show last week, but once again, just another dominant week out of him. And then if you're following the Bears social media pages, Roma Dunze had a ridiculous catch, end of game scenario. They're doing like a 2-minute drill, end of the game, and Bears are down by 3 points, I think. And Roma Dunze, well, first Caleb makes a ridiculous throw, does his Houdini magic, and Roma Dunze catches a ball pretty much jarred between 3 defenders. Was pretty cool. Rome seems to be his normal self, but really, it's so exciting with this offense. We talked about it last week, but hopefully Luther can get back in there before week 1. But if not, I mean, you got Khalif Raymond, and this is a big chance for Jade Walker to step up if Luther is going to miss some time. Everyone's saying Jade Walker's having a fabulous camp, just really not getting that many first-team reps because, like we talked about, when you have Roma Dunze, you have Luther Burden, Khalif Raymond, Colston Loveland, like, it's hard, especially with him, an undrafted free agent, really to get yourself out on the field. But we saw when Jade Walker's number got called last year, he stepped up and made plays when his number was called. So now I think this is a big week for Jade Walker to show that he is a reliable person to have in there. And I'm sure he's going to get plenty of first-team reps this week with the offense and see what he can do. So it'll be interesting. I'll have my eyes peeled for sure to see any Jade Walker updates with that first-team offense.
We talk about the oil and vinegar effect, right? I'm negative, you're positive. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask for a commitment here. Because Colston has been getting a lot of love in these first 2 weeks of training camp. High point in the ball, really just a terror out there with his, multiple touchdown practices, catching everything that comes his way. Like he's got stickum on his gloves. And so, I was curious. We know he had a great season last year, right? For a Bears tight end and how he did. And the way they're talking about him in training camp, like he is the second coming of tight ends. And so I was curious, who had the most receiving yards as a tight end in a season? The answer was Travis Kelce, right? 2020 season. He had 1,400 yards. And then I was curious. What's that? Calm down, Mr. Oil. And then I was curious on which tight end had the most touchdowns in a season, which is Gronkowski in 2011 with 17.
That's a lot.
So
you got to remember, that was back in the day when they only played 16 games.
And he had 17. And I remember, I think he scored 4 of them against the Bears one year, that year. So with all that being said, Mr. Positivity, can Colston Loveland break those 2 records?
Maybe in his career for sure. This year, I don't think so. I do think he's easily going to clear 1,000 yards. 1,400, that's a lot. And I mean, it depends though. Like if people keep going down and he's the only one out there. I mean, even when all them are out there, Caleb seems to favor his connection the most, as do most quarterbacks. Their tight ends are usually their go-to person unless you have, some elite receiver out there. But I think he'll easily eclipse 1,000 yards. The 1,400, though, if I had to pick one, what I think he would be more between the two, I'd probably go with the 1,400 yards. 17 touchdowns is extreme, is a lot. Especially, you got to remember, Tom Brady was more of a passing quarterback. I think Caleb is too, but you got to remember Ben Johnson's offense. It starts with the run game. So 17 touchdowns, that's a lot. To be specific, Caleb had 27 last year. And I think with this team, there's just so many weapons out there that I would think the 1,400 yards has more of a chance happening than the 17 touchdowns. Especially, you got to think 17 touchdowns. That's a touchdown a game.
And that's even with pace. That positivity, you're saying that he's going to double his production that he had last year, basically.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to hit 1,400 yards, but he's going to hit. He almost finished with 800 receiving yards last year. But I think realistically he's around the 1,100 to 1,200 range this season, for sure.
Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought it was an interesting stat looking back.
17 touchdowns is absurd. And if he does, honestly, if he does either one of those, he's probably winning Offensive Player of the Year. So,
him or Caleb and a Super Bowl ring. I mean,
Yeah.
if you could break the 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns, I mean, unless you're the only guy getting the rock because we practice so hard that we injure every single player, um, and that's your only option. I don't know, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. I just thought it was an interesting stat to look up. Um, it would be wild. I mean, as much as we talk about him, as much as the media talks about him, who knows? We'll see. Week 1.
Yeah, no, I think Folsom Loveland's definitely going to have an insane season. And I mean, the way they're finding him in the end zone, I mean, 17 touchdowns is a lot. I can see him having double digit touchdowns for sure. Um, it's just, it's a lot. That's a crazy pace to set at. And you got to remember too, as the year goes on, if he does get off to a hot start, then people are going to start double teaming him. That's the next step. And I mean, it's good for the Bears because then you're going to be leaving Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, and them on one-on-one matchups on the outside. But Colston Loveland, I think halfway through the season, will start getting that normal Travis Kelsey, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride treatment where you're going to have to maneuver between double teams and figure out how to find space and adjust your routes on air. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But I do think Colson Loveland's in for a big season. Just continues to make plays, man, over and over again every week. It's Colston Loveland this, Colston Loveland that, and then you sprinkle in, the Luther Burdens, the Roma Dunzes, Khalif Raymond. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure. But on the offense as well, we got some breaking news earlier this week with our right tackle, Darnell Wright officially signs a 4-year extension with the Bears for $116 million, and $93 million of that is guaranteed money. This makes Darnell Wright the highest paid right tackle in NFL history. It also, among offensive tackles, the 29 million per year average trails only one tackle in the league, which is Laramie Tunsil, which is
Who's out?
30.1 million. And I was about to say he just had a pec injury and is getting surgery and expected to miss a majority of the season.
He's
So
done.
he's also Laramie Tunsil, I believe, is a little bit older too. So that could be one of those devastating injuries that kind of takes you down. But let's focus in on Darnell Wright. Honestly, I really want to go back to the draft that year when we drafted him. You got to remember it was a big controversy because Jalen Carter, if you remember, the Bears could have taken Jalen Carter. Instead, they went with Darnell Wright. It was a big controversy during the draft. Like, what are you doing? Turns out, it seems like obviously Jalen Carter got an extension this offseason, and so did Darnell Wright. It turns out both of these players are just really good football players. And it looks like shout out to Ryan Poles because this is what you want. You want to draft people and keep them in your system. You don't want to draft someone, trade them away, try to hit again, especially before Darnell Wright. Really, if you remember, our offensive line was terrible. We had no cornerstone pieces to rely on. It was just a bunch of trades and put people together and figure out what the best option is. But Darnell Wright definitely deserved this extension. I'm glad they got it done before the season started, so he doesn't have to think about that in the back of his head, can just go out there and play freely now. Obviously, the money, it's a little crazy. These contracts, it doesn't matter anymore what position it is. These contracts, as long as you're a premium player at your position, all these contracts are record breaking. We've seen a couple of them this week too with Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. All these players out here, just every time this next big player gets signed, it's a new record breaking deal. And it almost seems like this cap is going to have to get adjusted at some point because these contracts keep getting more and more ludicrous out there. But on the Darnell Wright side of things, it's just awesome to see. Ben Johnson literally says we're a right-handed offense, and he says that because those plays run behind Darnell Wright. So when you have Ben Johnson, the good offensive mind he is, and coach saying that this guy needed to get paid, he deserved it. So I'm glad he was able to get it done. But it was big breaking news this week. I think it happened Wednesday or Thursday this week, but it was massive.
Yeah, huge, like the contract deal. But keep in mind too, that's why ticket prices keep going up too. So, I mean, if you look at game day tickets and if you want to go, just be excited for Darnell Wright, and that's why you're paying the prices you're paying to sit up in the nosebleeds where you could just sit at home and watch it in 4K for 90% less than the cost of a ticket to sit at the top of Soldier Field. With that too, I would say, I mean, I'm excited for Darnell Wright. He's out of UT. I mean, we're a big fan of him. We were excited when we did draft him.
I was about to say too. There he is.
There he
Got the
is.
signed jersey, but yeah, I'm excited for him, man. He deserves it, and every year he has undoubtedly gotten better year after year after year. He continues to put the work in. Forget who the former All-Pro is. I think his last name is Armstead, but he's been working with him in the offseason. I think his name's Tyrion Armstead, but Darnell Wright's been working with him in the offseason before camp started, and he went on his podcast and just raved about he's not even close to his ceiling yet and how just dominant he is. And, it's really cool to see. Darnell Wright's also one of those players too, who he's been reliable. He doesn't really get banged up too often. And when he does get banged up, if you remember I think it was last year, he had that elbow injury happen and he was wearing that brace. And he literally said in one of his press conferences after the game, I can't feel my right arm. I'm just blocking with one hand pretty much. And he just stonewalls people. So, I mean, this guy is legit. He's going to be on the Bears for a while. And I'm just glad Caleb has a lineman out there that, he can rely on. Just cool to see, man.
Yeah, it's outstanding to see, but I have a fear with that signing, right? Caleb ultimately should have a good year this year, right? We know what he had last year. Rome's going to have a good year. They're on the same year contract, and then you got Luther, who is looking to be everything and more in a steal in the draft in the second round. So when you have to start paying all these contracts, there's only so much dinero to go around. It'll be interesting how this all plays out in the next couple of years. Maybe the cap goes up. We'll see what that does, and there's some more money to be had to go around. But it's tough pickings when you're spending all that dinero on a few players, and then how do you fill out the rest of the roster, especially when injuries come calling?
Yeah, and it's like it's not. We don't need to talk about this now because it's later down the road. But between Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, there's going to come a point where, I mean, the Bengals did the wrong decision, but with the Bengals, with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they decided to pay both of them. But in reality, a good general manager, one of them is going to have to get let go and traded away. We're not there. We're not at that point, so we don't have to cover that. But it will be something down the line where Luther or Rome, one of them is going to get paid and one of them is going to get sent away. It's just how business is. It sucks, but that's why the Bears need to capitalize on this as much as they can. Because in all reality, they probably have Luther and Rome together for this year and next year. And then after that, someone's going to get paid and someone's going to get sent off, especially if we think Luther is going to reach that potential that we all think he can. And if he starts off the same how he did last year and avoids injuries, he was on the trajectory to be a top 10, top 5 wide receiver last year statistically. So it's going to be
the time
tough.
to win is now.
Yeah, there's a small window, but with Ben Johnson, it always seems like we're going to have a window. But at the same time, you just got to capitalize with these opportunities because down the road, like I said, it's just tough decisions. And like you brought up, eventually got to pay Caleb Williams.
And you think Darnell Wright's contract was crazy? Wait till Caleb's comes up.
Well, yeah, quarterbacks are the most expensive contracts in the league, but it will definitely be nuts. I think they can definitely hold off. They probably got Caleb on his rookie year for this year and next year. Then that 5th year, they're going to have to cough up some money. Depending on how this season goes, they may do it earlier too, because you got to think about it. In all reality, it sucks when the money comes out, but you got to do it a lot faster because every year these contracts go up. So the sooner you get it done, the better it sounds like. With the Darnell Wright one, for example, next year, these right tackles, the good ones, will be making more than Darnell Wright. And the sooner you get them done, it's kind of like the DJ Moore one that happened a couple of years ago. Like they gave him that extension, and at the time it seemed ridiculous. Well, you look at it now, DJ Moore is not even like a top 10 paid receiver. But at the time, he jumped up all the way up there pretty quickly. So it's definitely
it's kind of like Baker Mayfield said. You don't want to pay me. It's only going to get worse for the Buccaneers, and he's right. That if he has another good year,
his value just goes up.
Value goes up as well as the market goes up, and so you can request that money, and they'll pay you or they won't pay you. But I mean, back to the Bears. I mean, it's going to be interesting in the next few years how it all works out and what we decide to do or what not what we, but Ryan Poles and the Bears organization decides to do. But either way, that means we need a championship or two in this small window we have, and then build upon that and continue to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Talk a little bit about the practices this week. It was a little bit back and forth this week. It sounded like defense won some days, offense won some days, which honestly is good to hear. The first week, it seemed like the offense was just dominating, which we talked about it. Is the offense that good, or is our defense just that bad? But with the pads coming on, it seems like it's starting to go back a little bit back and forth. What you like to see, as much as I just want to hear Caleb Williams destroying everybody, it is nice to see the defense putting up a little bit of a fight, because it kind of makes the offense maybe come back to reality a little bit, rethink, let's sharpen up some things, because if they're just walking on water the whole training camp, they're going to get into the season and not have any, not that Ben Johnson would let them think that, but you can start having those thoughts in your head like we were unstoppable, no one can touch us, So it's good to see a little bit of fight back and forth, them trading days. Dylan Thieneman finally sounds like, that first week he was really quiet, but it finally sounds like he started to make some plays this week, finally had his first interception in camp, and started to have some nice pass breakups. So that's good to see as well. Really just this defense, man, I want to see them continue to build off of this. We also brought in, because of Coby Bryant being out, Xavier, what is his last name? Xavier Woods. He's from the Titans. He also played on the Panthers as well, and he also has history with Al Harris. Al Harris coached him for a year, so it's not shocking why they brought Xavier in, especially with Coby Bryant dealing with that injury. He's another veteran back there that can help Dylan Thieneman grow and learn the game faster. So they definitely need to bring people in, because it doesn't seem like they started to work in a bunch of people at safety next to Dylan Thieneman with like Cam Lewis. I forget who else they put back there, but they've been putting a lot of different people back there with the Coby Bryant injury. So to see them sign Xavier Woods, which he's a hitter, man. He definitely hits, lays the wood, but he is a little bit of an older player. And honestly, with this signing, I don't know what to expect of it, but one thing I do know from last year, whenever we had to pick in people like this to fill in, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, DeMarco Jackson at linebacker that ultimately got an extension after the season, when they've had to bring these people in, they seem to always hit, especially last year in the defense. So I think with Dennis Allen's coaching experience and his tenure, and then Al Harris as well, they know how to bring people in that fit their system and know what they want. So hopefully Xavier Woods can fill the hole in the meantime, and then he can just be a depth piece down the road if he needs to come in and play ever again. But going to be a new Bear. I think this happened on Friday or Saturday this week. But we'll see what he can do. I don't know what to really think of it. Just another piece out there really to try to make some plays and make a name for himself while Coby Bryant gets healthy.
Like I said, we're in the pantry and we're trying to put together ingredients to make a meal. I mean, it's looking grim, but we'll see. It was, we had this a little bit last year too, and like you said, next player up, we make some things work. I just hate that we don't have the defense that we're used to with the Chicago Bears, but we have an offense that we're not used to either. So yeah, we'll see how it all plays out.
And I really do feel bad for Dennis Allen, because I do love him as a coach. I love what he does. I love his philosophy of, blitzing people, playing aggressive. And I do just feel bad for him. If you think about it, last year, he barely had any of the starters. He was missing starters all year. Now he's going into year 2, thinking everyone's going to be healthy. And here we are banged up again. And it's just like, I do start to feel bad for him, because it's like, these guys, he wants to obviously coach and have one of the best defenses in the league. That's his job. But when you have to deal with stuff like this, like you said, you're putting together, you're throwing pretty much gum at a wall and just seeing what sticks. And it's like, I do kind of start to feel bad for him, but hey, he gets paid a lot of money to figure it out, so he better figure it out. But we'll see what happens, man. It's definitely that week one game is going to tell a lot from our defense. That's all I gotta say.
It's kind of like last year in training camp where they were talking about the defense was looking great, and we really found out that's because the offense was not clicking yet. And we were losing basically all the way until the fourth quarter of most games with that defense. So we'll see. I mean, I hate to be negative Nancy on this, but we will see.
Yeah. And I mean, Jordan Vanderberg as well. It seemed like he had a good week this week because like I said, we talked about it last week. When the pads aren't on at the offensive defensive line, it's kind of hard for them to see who's really winning. But Jordan Vanderberg seems to be, represent that old school Bears defense mentality. He literally speared somebody at the end of a drill in practice because he was just beating their butt, and they got a little mad, pushed a little bit back, and pretty much Jordan Vanderberg said, all right, I'm done messing around with you. I'm going to dump you off into the dirt. And he did. And he's been working his way up. Wasn't really playing too much with the first team, but it sounds like this week he got a decent amount of first team reps at that defensive tackle position. I really liked him, especially the value we got him at in the draft. Very freak athlete. He was one of the guys that drafted a perfect 10, if you remember, on that RAS score. And he fell all the way to the 6th or 7th round. I forget which round the Bears got him. I think it was the 6th round, but he's starting to make some plays with those pads come on. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Austin Booker apparently has been stringing together some good practices as well, which is always good to see. So we'll see what happens. We talked about Montez Sweat being hurt, but apparently in the one-on-one drills this week, Darnell Wright just stood him up literally back to back to back. Just said, yeah, you're not getting past me, buddy. That's why Darnell Wright got paid the money he did. And this is probably Montez Sweat's last season as a Bear, because after this, they can cut ties. But for now, we're going to need Montez Sweat to show up. It'll be interesting. If you remember when the Bears got Montez Sweat, we actually made an in-season trade, and we kind of did a swap with the Commanders. Something tells me if the Bears are red hot, there might be another swap with Max Crosby and a Montez Sweat little swap. Hey, hold on. Let me talk real quick. Adam Schefter's been coming out with some reports again saying that when it comes to that trade deadline, watch out for the Bears and Max Crosby. So that must mean the talk and the buzz is already happening. So
I think Max Crosby just lives off his name being talked about in the media.
He's a stud.
He is. He's outstanding, but let's be real. There's no Bears, no Max Crosby connection going to happen. That ship sailed the moment Caleb William took off his headset when he did the podcast with him. So
the other part too, if you didn't hear, Max Crosby apparently punched Kirk Cousins in the face earlier this week in practice. A little scuffle they got into.
Did you hear what happened afterwards?
Oh yeah, Kirk got back in his face, grabbed his face mask, and started going right.
That wasn't Kirk.
What was that? That wasn't Mendoza.
No, it was Kirk O'Chains. He put on the grill and the chains, and he went
back
after
from the Vikings days.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins would do that.
I'm telling you, as much as he plays with the media and says, I love being a Raider, it gets to a point where it's like you're sick of losing. His career, he's in his 30s. His time's running out. He's going to want to play for a winning team. With stuff like that, ready with his temper heating up in training camp. And let me tell you, the Raiders' schedule, go look at it. Those first, they could easily be 2-6. Easily. And it would be cool because the Bears were in the talks when it was happening. It was rumored the Bears were part of that. Ultimately went to the Ravens, but there's some in-season stuff happening. But the Bears are also going to need to do their end and win and get off to a good start because they're going to okay, we're here. We got a playoff push. Now let's go make a big-time trade to add to this defense. If we can add somebody like that, it would be absolutely lethal, especially if Austin Booker has a season we think he's going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, at the end of the season, Montez Sweat is more than likely getting cut anyways, or not cut, but traded away to a different team. And that frees up a lot of money. His contract, Max Crosby's contract would be a little bit more expensive than Montez Sweat's, but not by much. We're paying Montez Sweat's the highest paid Bear right now, which when you think about it in that terms, that's ridiculous because he doesn't play like the best player that we have on our team.
Yeah, we'll see. And I hear birdies chirping too. I know it's not Bear related news, but the Rams already the favorite, right, to go to the Super Bowl, and
Aaron Donald's coming back. I mean,
he's allegedly he's coming in.
Yeah, people that think it's just for show, you're crazy. He's already working out with the Rams.
He wants to win.
Rams,
it's the same thing. The same thing you're talking about with Max Crosby, right? He wants to come to a great team, contribute, help win a Super Bowl, at least be in the running for it, right? And I think Aaron Donald maybe was a little frustrated with the Rams and where it was going, saw what they did last year and saw the pieces they added and said, you know what, probably could get in there for 1 year.
Yeah, no, easily, especially with his name. He's a Ram for life. He literally he's loved by the fans. He spent his whole career there, and the guy looks literally like he hasn't missed a beat. If you've seen he's already done. This is the other thing too. He's already done press conferences with the Rams media, and in one of them, he's literally in one of those cutoff T-shirts, and his triceps are literally up to his ears. Or his traps. This guy is literally a freak. And I mean, if the Rams land him, which let me tell you why, I also know why he's already going to be coming back. If you go to any sports book out there and go to comeback player of the year, which is a player that gets hurt or returns to the league, he's third in odds already, behind Patrick Mahomes. Forget who the other one is. I think it's Kyler Murray or Daniel Jones.
Probably Kyler Murray.
And then it's Aaron Donald right there. So if he's on sports books already, yeah, he's coming back because they wouldn't let you just burn your money like that and take it from you. So it's going to be just a thing of when it happens, but it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be kind of like the Micah Parsons thing that happened with the Packers, how he got traded right before the season started. I think that week right before season about to start, they're going to break the news. Aaron Donald signs a 1-year deal, and then everyone in the league's going to, shit their pants because that team already is crazy. And you add Aaron Donald, you just think about Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line. Yeah, good luck. Pick who you want to block. The other guy's going to kill your quarterback in the process. So
you got Puka, you got Stafford.
Trent McDuffie. People forget they got him, one of the best cornerbacks in the league from the Chiefs. They got Jalen Watson as well from the Chiefs, their other cornerback. So
it sounds like they're living that Dodgers caps lifestyle where there is no cap for that team.
Well, the thing is, there actually is a cap, and they're able to do it. But I do agree that when you see their roster on paper, it's like, how in the world are they paying? Because it's literally superstar after superstar after superstar. But when you look at it, Devontae Adams isn't that – he's a top receiver, but he doesn't get paid like one. Puka Nacua is still on his rookie contract. They paid Myles Garrett. Stafford is signing these 1-year deals, and he's made a bunch of money already, so he understands. He's still making good money, but he's not making the top dollar. He's not like the most expensive quarterback. But when you look at their team, it's literally superstar after superstar. And the Rams are one of those teams, too, that believe in, screw them picks. Like, when people say that, they're not kidding. They trade away their first-round pick every single year and go get a superstar. And you know what?
Well, they didn't this last year.
No, they did. They had 2 of them, though. That's why. They had 2 first-round picks. They still traded one of them away for Trent McDuffie. But they literally every year they say send away their picks. They did the same thing to get Matthew Stafford. Like, they don't care about first-round picks. I think there was a stat. They haven't had a first-round pick since like 2017. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, they picked 13th overall and picked up Ty Simpson this year.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about their own physical pick.
Yeah.
They got that one via trade.
Which McVay was super excited about.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah,
so think about that. You think about that team on paper. They're in the NFC. In order to get to the Super Bowl, we'd have to go through them. We
Yeah,
ain't got, we ain't got
100%.
a defensive backfield. We don't know what that's going to look like. And on top of it, you mentioned his name, Kyler Murray. Sounds like he's having a heck of a training camp up with the Vikings.
I don't know
So
about that. I've seen some mixed reports.
I've heard he's having a good one, and there is a resurgence of Kyler Murray. And you pair him up with those wide receivers. NFC North continues to be a tough division. I mean, it's going to be hard.
Oh no, I agree. I think the Vikings are high. The way the media talk about them and the way they're placed on sports books, I don't agree. I mean, I think the Vikings are gonna. I mean, it all comes down to their quarterback play. But last year, with no good quarterback play, they were 9-8 and finished in third place in the division. People forget that, and they were 2 games away from being the division champions. So if they get any decent quarterback play, I mean, you want to talk about offensive weapons too. They got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and now Juwan Jennings. Those are 3 elite
Yeah.
receivers who that's a nightmare matchup for any one of them. So as long as their quarterback can do their job and just take care of the football and deliver to these receivers, the Vikings are going to be dangerous. And then on top of it, we all know how good that Vikings defense is with Brian Flores calling all those exotic blitzes and looks, lining up everybody at the line, dropping people back. You don't know who's coming, who's going. So I think the Vikings can easily be a really good team in the division, and I think they're highly slept on. Um, it's weird. It's this division is always. I mean, you can say that and the NFC West are probably the 2 hardest divisions in the league, and I do feel like anybody in the NFC North could win it. I mean, Detroit's got a little bit of an easier schedule this year because
And
they
they
finished in
signed
fourth
one of my
place.
favorite quarterbacks,
Who's that?
Josh Dobbs.
Well, he's already been over there before too in the past.
I know, but he's back. Teddy Bridgewater's taking a little
Stepped away.
hiatus,
Yeah,
and Dobbs is coming back in. I always liked him.
yeah. He was good at Tennessee, that's for sure.
Hmm.
But he's had a couple good NFL games too when he's had to step in. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting week of training camp, to be honest. Not too much news other than a bunch of injuries, like we talked about. Hopefully, this week, maybe we get some people back. Maybe we no big names get hurt this week. That would be nice. Knock
Yep.
on wood. On top of that, too, um, I don't want to talk about him too much, but Kyler Gordon was out after practice one of these days doing some drills by himself and also signed some autograph with the fans. So maybe Kyler Gordon uh, is on the way of getting back on the field. But in the press conference earlier this week, someone asked Ben Johnson, "Is there an update about Kyler Johnson or Kyler Gordon?" He looks at them dead in their eyes and goes, "No update," and says, "Next question." So on Ben Johnson's side, I think it's more of they're just done talking about it until he's out on the field. That's the vibe I'm getting from that.
Yep.
But it is good to see he was out on the field a little bit after practice, with spending some time with the fans and getting some work in. So hopefully, I mean, knock on wood, hopefully he's coming back soon because
That would make me feel better.
it would make me feel great because you got to remember Kyler Gordon is a versatile piece. He can end up playing safety. They can put because Cam Lewis apparently has been doing really good at the nickel spot, which is what he's used to. He's a versatile player too, but he's been doing good at the nickel, which is Kyler's normal spot. But Kyler Gordon can play cornerback, nickel, safety. So maybe they work that in there. And if Kyler Gordon's at safety, yeah, you still have to turn your hips and do stuff like that. But it's a lot more you're running in a straight line than making crazy cuts trying to guard receivers. And that can maybe help out his pulled muscles he likes to pull every 5 seconds. But we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully he's coming back soon. But I really think for week 3, just some stuff I want to see. One, I want to see the offense still continue to put together good days. Obviously, I talked about it earlier. Jade Walker, be interesting to see with Luther Burden out how much first-team reps he's getting now, and hopefully making some plays with him, and then hopefully get some of these players back. I don't know about you. What are some things you're looking forward to this
That's
week?
the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is that grocery list getting smaller, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be people nursing stuff, but you want to have that list as short as possible. Get into week 1 healthy, because we got a mission this year. I had high hopes last year. They delivered, but my hopes are even higher this year. And I think we got the players to do it, but we just need them healthy and on the field playing.
Yeah. And if you are a Bears fan out there, local over there in Illinois, they do have a joint or not a joint practice. It's kind of like Fan Fest. They don't have it at Soldier Field this year because of scheduling conflicts, but they are doing one at Stevenson High School tomorrow. The tickets are still available. It's tomorrow at 10 a.m. I don't know how many of you guys might be interested in it, but there are tickets out there to go see that. It'll be pretty cool. And I think that is the practice, by the way, too, where Ben Johnson, it's going to be pretty physical. They do a lot of goal line stuff. So just knock on wood, no big injuries, because if people are to get injured this week, it's going to be offensive, defensive linemen, because when they do these heavy padded practices, he already talked about it on Hogan Johns this week. He had an interview with them on their show, but he said it's the week like it was last year where they're going to be on that goal line, banging the football man on man, come ready to hit and pop your pads. He says it's the most physical practice he does with the camp. So it's scary hearing it, but let's just have a good practice, no injuries. Maybe Kyle Monungai, just be a little bit nice when you're running these guys over. Don't try to kill them. Devin Bush, I hear you're making some big-time plays and rocking people. Maybe just be a little bit easier because Lou DeBurn, before his injury, he actually took a big-time shot from Devin Bush at the end of one of the practices. And a lot of people said it was – a lot of these beat reporters that have been there over a decade long said it was the hardest hit they've ever seen in a training camp against your own teammates. So it was like a little bit scary. So hopefully that goes good. And then also Saturday, we got the Bears' first preseason game against the Browns. This one, I do expect Caleb and the starters to play a little bit, maybe a drive or two. The other two games, though, those are the joint practice ones. And last year with the joint practices, the starters didn't play. So I think this is the only game this weekend where we'll see Caleb and the offense out there because the Bengals the following week and then the one we're going to in Nashville have joint practices literally the day before the game, or 2 days before the game, and it's pretty much a game at the practice. And Ben Johnson just doesn't see no point in starting when they're pretty much playing a game at that joint practice. So literally probably the only game we'll see the offense out there before the season, at least on an actual preseason game, I should say. But football is back, man.
It's back.
You talked about it, but that Hall of Fame game is probably one of the best Hall of Fame games we've seen in a while. It was crazy. The quarterbacks, both teams were slinging the ball. It was high scoring. It was crazy, too, because the end of the first quarter was 0-0. The game ended 33-30. So it was absolutely bonkers. But nonetheless, it was a good game. And it was a good way to start off the season, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's back, right? We go through the draft, we go through, spring training, go through training camp. But Thursday night with the Hall of Fame game, having it on, actually watching it, it's exciting that it's back. I mean, it feels like the season takes forever to get here, but next thing you know, we're here. We're talking about it. We're talking about the games coming up. I'm excited to go with you to the training camp at the Titans. Hopefully that'll be exciting as well, and get to see some players. And in this day and age, when Darnell Wright's getting paid that much money, training camp tickets are about all we can afford.
No, it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm just glad it's finally back. It feels like it. Seeing Collinsworth and Tirico on the call the other night, just hearing their voices, it's like it's like that refresher in your head. We're here. We made it.
Caleb got mentioned.
I was about to say they did
during the call. I mean, when your quarterback's getting mentioned, whoo.
Yeah, well, Collinsworth he's one of the announcers that is a big Caleb fan. Collinsworth typically likes those flashy quarterbacks. He's obviously the Mahomes guy. Everyone gets mad about it when he calls his games because in his eyes, he can never do anything wrong. But he gave Caleb the shout out as well. Haynes Keene tried to back up, do the Caleb Williams crap. And Collinsworth already said, you don't run backwards and try to throw a football. There's only one quarterback that can do that, and his name's Caleb Williams. So it was cool to see that as well. It's picking up right where it left off. Now the Bears got to ride the high. You got to start hot. I feel like it's a huge part to their season. If they can start hot, they're going to believe they're just as good as where they ended last year, and it's just going to be a continued snowball effect like we saw it last year. So
If we could just win the first game, right? I mean, last year we thought we were going to win that game against the Vikings, and then fourth quarter blow up happens and we lose. So going against the Panthers, obviously they got some injuries of their own that they're dealing with. But if we could go in week one and pull out a win, that would be an exciting way to start the season because it's been a while since we've won a week one game. I think the last one was the San Francisco game with Fields when they did the rain dance. But with Caleb, it'd be exciting to pull that off.
yeah, no, it definitely. Well, actually, no, we won the one before that too. We beat the Titans week one with Caleb his rookie year. Remember, and the defense
Oh,
failed.
that's right.
That's the game where Caleb he didn't
was
play
bad.
good. He played bad, but the defense literally, I think they had 2 pick sixes in that game.
Yep.
Tyreek Stevenson had the game sealing one to give us the lead.
That's the one
Crazy.
where I was so upset that we drafted Caleb number 1 and Will Levis and where he got drafted. I'm like, this can't be right. This is not what a number 1 drafted QB.
Little did we know how bad Shane Waldron, Matt Eberflus, and everyone else was around him because clearly when you put the right people around Caleb, you get a season like you saw last year. So
totally forgot about that.
yeah, it was crazy. They did end up winning that game though, but I remember that game too. The start of the second half, we're only down by 3 points. Fumble the ball on the kickoff. You never see it happen. They recover it on our 2-yard line. I'm like, yeah, that was shout out Bayless Jones.
Yeah.
Because literally, I think he did that, and like he was on the team for like 3 more weeks, and then the Bears just cut him. They said, "See you later," and then
Yep.
a bunch of
No more
teams picked
B12.
him up, and I don't even think he's in the league anymore, to be honest. But nonetheless, football is here, though. I think it was a good episode. It's kind of hard to find some stuff to talk about this week, practice-wise, but injury-wise, there was a lot. Darnell Wright extension, Xavier Woods. Let's see what you can do this week. And hopefully, like you said, let's get some players back this week, even if it's partial, not doing team stuff, but just out there. Let's get them out there because I really want to see what this team looks like, too, against that Bengals. At least the defense. I want these defenders to get healthy. Obviously, Coby Bryant's not going to be healthy, but maybe Kyler Warren's back in some time. Maybe, Tyreek Stevenson, see how he is. But hopefully we can get some people out there to match up against the Bengals offense because if Colston Loveland's doing this, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins might have a field day next week. But, hey, iron sharpens iron. It'll be good for the defense to get another look at a different team. And it'll be cool to hear what comes out of that practice. But nonetheless, I think it was a good episode unless you got anything you want to add on top before we head out of here.
I'm just ready. I'm so ready.
Yeah. Football's here. Like always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, share this with your Bears fans. Got a lot of stuff coming up. I think here in a couple weeks we'll get our season prediction show in there. Maybe do rankings as well with NFC North in particular. I've been really wanting to do a show as well with a QB tier list where me and you go through a show and do a QB tier list 1 through 32. I think it'd be a lot of fun, a lot of debate probably between us as well, deciding what the list would be. But a lot of cool ideas that I want to get in before the season starts with our normal pregame, postgame stuff. But other than that, thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. But until then, bear down.